So if you're so passionate about something, and even if the market is small, that is also fine.
Sure.
Because you are really good at it.
Sure.
But if you haven't found something, always pick up something which has a huge market. My pitch to my family was, I want to do MBA. My maths is good, my English is not good. That's why I'm working in a call center. So I'm not working in a call center because I'm not getting any other job.
How can I make the most of eChai?
I believe कि आपकी बात में दम हो तो माहौल अपने आप बन जाता है. So eChai gave that confidence to people that we can make things happen anywhere in the world.
Networking doesn't help if you don't focus on building value.
It is good to have good intentions. Whether the potential outcome you are getting is good or not. I took 100 newspapers, 100 copies. Because that was a big moment for me that, I got featured in newspaper. So we host these meetups across in 10 countries now.
But do you realize that even today bringing people together is one of the most difficult things in life?
Yes, I realize, and I'm so happy about it that we become good at that.
Advice or tips for upcoming startups or for upcoming founders?
So every industry would have a very niche platform. Be part of that. So that becomes very, very handy in understanding the psyche of the people.
At the end of all the conversations that you have had and all the meetups that you have had, if you had to sort of sum it up, what are those things of a good, successful entrepreneur?
To be honest, I'm figuring it out.
So Jatin bhai, welcome to Unboxed.
Thank you, Parth.
Thank you for taking the time out and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you doing this. Unboxed is about talking to creators and entrepreneurs about their journey and how they ended up where they ended up eventually. And like how you unboxed a product, this is about unboxing a person and trying to learn things about their field of work. Tell me about your journey. What has been happening so far? Where did you grow up? How was it like? What were the influences?
First of all, Parth, very lovely office.
Thank you.
And I can see my home here, home from here. So now I'll have this in memory that whenever I'm at my home, I'll look at our office.
No, but if you are planning to host events here, this can be your home too.
Yes. So thank you so much again. Because generally I ask a lot of questions to the people, so it's a newer experience for me to tell my story. I'm born and brought up in Ahmedabad. So I used to live in Saraspur earlier. The place I used to live was called Rangila Hanumani Chali. The place where I used to live, I was one of the smartest kid around. So I would always get the first rank in the school. So 1 to 7 it went like that. Then I got into, I was studying in a school called Nalanda Vidyalaya. So 1 to 7, all the 7th rank, I was the number one student. Then I got into Saraswati Vidyalaya. So Saraswati Vidyalaya would have more smarter people. Then I got a shock of my life that I am not the smartest around. So at that time we had a technical also. So 2 days we'll spend in a technical institute. So in that I was zero. So the subject I took up was drawing. So in other subjects, I was number one. In technical, I was zero. So I was living a dual life. That in the same setups, among the same set of people, I am the smartest individual for a certain set of things, and for a particular subject, I am zero. So my 7th to 10 went like that. I took up science. So I had a very similar experiences. That the things that were a couple of things like maths and other things I was really good at. Other things I wasn't good at. That experience kind of extrapolated when I got into Nirma, because after 12th science, everybody around me was getting into Nirma. People were leaving medical seats to get into Nirma and IT. And there are a couple of friends of mine to whom I used to admire. So I also got into Nirma IT, and then I got a shock of my life that I am not the smartest around for not one subject, for almost everything else. And I was feeling very inferior because everybody around me had already owned computers, where for me that was the earliest experience of using computer for a longer period. In school I had a computer subject, but I was never was able to use it more often. So I used to feel misplaced. I felt that probably I don't belong to this stage. So what used to happen, I would bunk my classes. I'll go to library, or else I'll play cricket. So in Nirma, from 2001 to 2005, for the first 7 semester, every semester I would get provisionally detained due to lack of attendance, and in the theory I'll barely pass out. So all my semesters went like that. I used to bring my friends. I would so there was an attendance problem. So a letter will go to the home. So in the place where I was to live, then I had moved to Bapunagar. So our home was on the 5th floor. So all the letters that would come from the college will go to a pawn shop downstairs. So I had a deal with him that every time a letter would come, you give it to me. and if you need any help with anything you need, I can help you with that. So he will give me the letter. So even today, no one from my family would know that I used to get those letters. Or even today, they don't know that I was detained. Because they don't watch this podcast.
Not anymore.
Or they don't attend my events. So it is not required, but they still believe that I did well in Nirma. So it went like that. So I would tell my friends that, why don't you come, if you like to come to Nirma, I'll take you there, but you have to act as my brother. So I've taken at least 5-6 friends of mine as my brothers to meet somebody in the college to make them agree that, I made a mistake, I'll get better. So the interesting thing was, I'm a very sincere person. I'm not a habitual offender. That, I was on a rebel. I just didn't connect it with everybody else. So in 8th semester, I got detained by college. So technically in 2005, I didn't complete my engineering. I don't know anything about programming. But my family was expecting me to earn 25,000 rupees because there are news about people getting placed in various, in TCS, Infosys. So I had to work. So I applied to certain call centers because call centers were giving, call center jobs. Boom was going on. I went to somebody, call center, and they said that you seem to be very overqualified person because you have studied from Nirma. Because at that time my result hadn't arrived. So technically, I can say that I am awaiting my result, but I knew that they haven't approved my application. So then I realized, okay, this Nirma name is not working out. So the first resume was a copy paste of all the other resumes. It was 2 pages where all the languages, computer programming languages were written. In the next day when I went to apply, I removed those things because anyways I didn't know about them. Then some call center took me in. So that's why my real learning gets started. That and I did really well there. I wasn't the best of the person who could speak English, but I understood things. So my first job was working in a campaign where we were supposed to sell long distance services to consumers in Canada. So typically in a call center, what happens? People have a dialer. The call center folks would use a database, and automatically your call will get connected to some user, and you have their information on your screen, and you speak with them. What I used to do, I used to create my own leads. So I would identify, okay, long distance services. So for example, if you speak with somebody in Canada with a last name Patel, you would know that that individual is from Gujarat. Origin. So similarly, I would identify people of Romania origin or people who would be originating from Spain and move to Canada. So I'll go to super pages, white pages, I'll identify their numbers and I'll call up them directly that I'm calling. So everybody around me was surprised that, very rarely they would have seen that, somebody taking an initiative of identifying leads on. So I did well. 6 months I worked, but there was expectation from my family that I would earn more because they didn't knew that I didn't get a job from campus. My pitch to my family was I want to do MBA. My maths is good, my English is not good. That's why I'm working in a call center. So I'm not working in a call center because I'm not getting any other job because I want to improve my English. So that was my pitch to them. Then I was always looking for better opportunities. So I got, in newspaper there was an ad. So in Ahmedabad there is Sant Kabir School. The colonels they were family business also. They were other businesses also. And they were setting up an exports business where he interviewed me then. He liked me. And within the interview, while the interview was going on, he was like, what is your salary? I was like 3,500 rupees. He gave me 10,000 rupees cash and said that kal se mere yahan join kar lo tum. Eventually I joined him. And then everybody who was my friend in a call center, they joined this exports business company. So I had built friends throughout my life. I've done well. And now my business is around building friends. But that was interesting. After 18 years, some of the friends who joined that company because of my reference, they are still working with them. But always I was looking for better opportunity because everybody around me who were would have 30,000, they were making 30,000, 40,000. Here I was making 20,000. Then I worked. I worked with a company in Udaipur which was doing consulting to Microsoft. Then I worked with a company called Reddington India Limited in Ahmedabad, where I was leading HP's enterprise business. So my job was to sell HP's softwares. So within those 4 years, I realized that now I have some skill set. Now I have a confidence that I can be as good as anybody else, which was missing when I was in Nirma. And then I wanted to help people like me who felt that they were good, but they were not getting any support. So that's how the eChai was originated. That we wanted to bring people together to help people. So I always felt that if somebody would have come to me in Nirma and said that what, you seem to be a good person, but you are struggling. So why don't you do this? So that confidence could have helped me.
Right.
What I felt that everybody made me I felt guilty that I am not good. So with eChai, the idea was that can we create an ecosystem for people like me? That's how we started. I left my job. I had sent an email to a lot of good people of Gujarat. So luckily, a lot of people responded back that we could support you or we were interested in what you are trying to do. So Sushil Handa, who's the founder of Claris, a huge pharmaceutical company. So he liked me. He gave me the office space based on my email only, without expecting anything from me. So that was an interesting thing was going on for me, that I would reach out to people would respond to me. And I realized that I worked for years. I eventually went to a good position. But none of the owners were interested in talking to me. At max, I would talk to the head of IT, and they would also judge me. Here I'm able to speak with people with great insight of the world, or they would achieve a lot of things, and they were interested in what I'm trying to do. So that was interesting realization for me. That probably what I will achieve eventually, I'm not sure, but this seems very interesting. So then we went all in. So I started eChai. Initially, it was around students, helping students get exposure to the world. So we will do a lot of events. And then eventually, within that, we realized, so our tagline was solutions for life. We will help students and everybody. Then there was a boom in entrepreneurship. Like, today everybody talks about startups. In 2009, I realized that everybody is talking about entrepreneurship. So then we realized that, okay, I am able to build a network, which is good for anybody who wants to start a business. And then we realized that, this is something that we will invest a lot of our energies in. And that's how everything what we do became that bringing entrepreneurs together to help each other. Our first thing was, we started eChai at a tea stall, at Rutura tea stall. So I believe कि आपकी बात में दम हो तो माहौल अपने आप बन जाता है. माहौल बन गया eventually.
Ruturaj at the University Road.
Yes. So that's how eChai was started. Right. That was in 2009.
So, but before you before you realized that you are good with people and you can make friends and you want to do something like this, were you always good with people before that also, but you didn't realize it that this is a skill that I need to sort of craft around while you were in Nirma or in school also, right? Were you always the one who had the most number of friends and who was always well connected and knew everybody around? Was it like that? And then you sort of realized that, okay, this is something that I need to tap into and build something around it.
So I realized that I could be the center of the room.
Right.
Because that's what I was saying. 1 to 7, I was the ranker. Or the things that I was good at, I was the best. The things I wasn't good at, I was 0. So I had that realization. I didn't have that confidence that I can do it again and again. So every time I was good, I realized it happened. That I could be friends, I would bring people together. So I had work friends, I would have school friends, and I would bring a lot of people together. It's just that when I started working with, then I had a confidence that I can actually recreate it. It's just not, these are not the things happening to me. So that was a realization later on. But I would bring people together, but I didn't have a confidence to do it. It's just that I know that these are 10 my friends, so I'll bring together. The realization came later that even if somebody who's not my friend, I can bring that individual in my ecosystem. That came when I started working.
You mentioned that a lot of people supported you when you started out and when you wrote emails to them, and they either they came to the events or they give you office space or whatnot. Can you talk more about those initial days of eChai and how it has shaped you and the venture and its DNA, its value system, How did it all happen?
Yep. So I worked all sales jobs. So that helps, right? You are trying to sell yourself to people. So I had made a list of, so I went to GCCI's website, Gujarat Chamber of Commerce. They had a list of those 300, 400 big business folks. They had mentioned their emails. Also, I went to Gujarat Media Club's website. At that time, they had mentioned all the journalists who were part of it, their email addresses and mobile numbers. So I would send emails to everybody. So I will do insane amount of outreach. Some people will respond saying that, I want to help you. Some people will respond saying, why are you sending this communication to us? But what I used to do, every Sunday night, I would send them the updates. Because when you're new, you will seek a lot of validation. I don't seek that now, but at that point in time, I used to seek a lot of validation that I'm doing something exciting. So I would send weekly emails to everybody. So eventually, a lot of them would realize that this guy is at it. And then eventually, they would support. And I remember, so there was a news story about what we were trying to do in Ahmedabad Mirror. I took 100 newspapers, 100 copies. Because that was a big moment for me that, I got featured in the newspaper. So I would reach out to a lot of people. So there was a lot of buzz about it because you reach out to people would write about you. This guy has noble intentions, studying from this college. I realized that later on I would not repeat that, but at that time I did, and it helped me because people would. So that creates a validation for you. A lot of these big business folks would also support you. So what I realized why things were working out for me was probably I was true to myself. I wasn't doing anything outside of my zone. I was trying to tell them what I'm trying to do and why I feel that they could get involved. So that thought kind of resonated with me, and I eventually picked that up. So even today, a lot of things that we do when eChai has events happening in 10 countries, I reach out to people, so generally I never use references. Even though the premise of business is that you make friends, get references.
Right.
Most of the times I would always reach out to people directly with the core message. That why I wouldn't. And if the core message is good, people will respond to you. They'll not need a reference checks. So that thing I picked up, and that has been with us since beginning. That if you reach out to people with the core message, and they'll figure out whether they want to be part of or not.
But do you realize that even today, bringing people together is one of the most difficult things in life?
Yes, I realize, and I'm so happy about it that we become good at that. So we host a lot of these events. So a lot of these interesting events that we organize at eChai, I haven't been to those places. The people who host these meetups, I haven't met them. People who attend this meetups, they don't know about me as an individual. They probably they would know about eChai.
Yeah.
And they are not Indian diaspora also. That so it's the message has traveled, and that's a core message that if you're trying to build things around startup ecosystem, if your theme is good, if your purpose is good, people will get channelized. So that core thing is getting translated, and eventually we are also learning. Every time there is an event that is happening, I realize that these are the 3 things I could have done better. So even though we host a lot of these events, we are good at it. I see a huge upside yet to happen because there are so many things we could do better. So it's a work in progress, but probably we are getting there, and I'm looking forward to that upside, that when we will get it right.
Little slightly philosophical, but do you also feel that when you have good intentions and when you are trying to do something good, usually people reciprocates that same feeling, that same energy, and if you are trying to do something good with good intentions, with good energy, usually the world around you responds positively.
So that's what a lot of good people believe. But I have seen great things happening with people with bad intentions also.
Yeah, that is also true.
But that's so it's a dilemma that I go through. That and I'm sure you also know that great.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you see great things happening to bad people, and you know for sure that this is not a good person, and you wonder life is not all
correct.
Fair.
But it is good to have good intentions, whether the potential outcome you are getting is good or not. You be good, right?
Yeah.
Whether the outcome is or you don't be good because there is an outcome that will happen is good. So this is the zone we try to be in, and you try to do. So what I realize, or in the same philosophical zone, is if you are really good at your job, even if you're bad or good, people will work with you. But if you are good, and then people will give you that 10% margin. So even if you are not good, they will still work because you are good intention. So good intention definitely works. But if you have a choice, try to be good at your work.
You need to sort of club it with good skills also. Just good intentions are not good enough.
They will give you that 10% leave.
After that, you're done.
Yep.
I'm a big believer that institutions help you a lot. Because the institution that I went to has helped me a lot in my career also. You spoke about Nirma. Do you think there are any other value additions that Nirma has done in your life, apart from just the brand name that is there on your CV? Do you see any other value additions that the institution or that period in Nirma has done to your life?
Lot of value additions. The very fact that I'm getting a chance to being interviewed because of some Nirma connection, right? Nisarg is a good friend. He connected us. So that Nirma alumni network is in play, right? There's every other day that you do something and somebody would reach out to me in Bangalore. You know what? I'm also Nirma pass out. So they will do little good things for us. Right. So that aura of being part of that institution and people associated with the institution, that really helps. While studying, I'm still in a dilemma. Whether it was my mistake that I didn't do, because everybody around me did well, and they have great experiences. So it showed, but were they proactive enough? That is where I'm trying to build eChai around. That so that's why the events that we do, we keep it open for all. There are no rules kind of a thing. So there are a lot of things I felt that it could have been better. But being associated with the institute which has a lot of alumni, and you being one of the good alumni, that really helps.
That really helps.
Because a lot of people who had great experiences, they said, you know what, I'm also proud that you are also from Nirma, creating an ecosystem. So that ripple effect is helping me now. Not in 2001 to 5.
No, in fact, when I was in college, I had a faculty who had told me exactly what you have just said. Okay, you don't come to an institution like this to learn a particular subject. You can do it on internet now. Right, but you come here to be with this batch, who are your classmates or your batchmates right now. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, they are going to be the industry leaders, right? Somebody will be a CEO, somebody will be a head of some other company, somebody doing something great on their own. So
just in that, I'm more friends with people who are not part of my batch.
Exactly.
I'm more friends with people from Nirma who were not part of my batch. We got connected because we were from Nirma, but not in the same batch.
But exactly. So the access to this network of alumni is, you don't get it otherwise, right?
True.
And to get into their, whether we like it or not, there is this human element that is there, right? When you are meeting somebody without any reference, it's going to be a different experience. And when you meet somebody with you share the same institute, correct, when they see Nirma or they see Symbiosis or they see IIM in that, it's like a different treatment.
True.
Right? You must be realizing, and you must be seeing that difference now, the theory of the tipping point, right? You started eChai in 2009, right? And now in 2024, I'm sure there are people reaching out to you that we want to do eChai here or we want to do eChai there, right? Because now eChai has probably reached its tipping point, right? But can you talk a little bit about the initial years where it was not all great and glorious?
It was a huge struggle.
Yeah.
Because we were like...
I'm asking you this because this is such an entrepreneurial element, right? This is such an entrepreneur's thing, right? Because you don't know whether this is going to work out or not, right? You are not seeing any results, at least in the near future. There is some vague dream-like position in your head, and every day is a challenge. There are so many different challenges that are coming up that you're not even trained for that. So, and then if you just keep doing it with good intentions, like you said, and consistency, you reach a point where it sort of tips, and then correct, it's like there is no turning back. So I really wanted to understand how that period was.
Yeah. So Abe, you very well explained how it works.
Yeah.
What happened in my case, 2009 we started eChai. So Kunal, who was my friend in Nirma, he had his own IT company. And after 9 months of eChai, he became full-time co-founder at eChai. So for the first 3 years, we had some money. I had savings from my job. Kunal had savings from his IT business. So for the first 3 years, we would invest our own money. We will book a venue, pay money, give tea, snacks to everybody. So for 3 years, we never needed money. And we never made any money. After 3 years, we ran out of our money. But we still wanted to do events. So there was a phase of a year where we didn't do anything. And we were struggling. And for the first 3 years, everybody was like that, this is good, but for how long you will do it? That's the eternal question. That, Samaj Seva, kitne din tak karoge aap? And we were like, we'll figure out something. Or we don't know the answer, but we like doing it. So 12-13 was the period where things started working out for us. Because then we became more efficient. Because earlier we were not making money, but we had money. Now we were in a situation where we don't have any money, but still we want to do it. So 2012-13 is a time where a lot of business networks or associations of Ahmedabad were picking up. So GCCI wanted to do events around entrepreneurship. eChai had built a reputation that it brings a lot of people together. So they started giving us a space for free. So to do these meetups, earlier we used to spend money. Now we need not spend money because everything else is taken care by some partner. And that kind of gave us a breathing space.
Right.
And then, so that phase was very difficult. That, you, on one side, you are trying to empower people. So you can't go and tell people that, you help us. Because the same set of people who would have asked you that, for how long you'll survive, you go with, we will do good. You can't go to some individual say that, can you help me with some money?
Right.
Because I'm struggling at this point in time.
Right.
So that was the difficult phase. But then still entrepreneurship ecosystem grew. So things that we wanted to do become easier. So now more people were interested. So now more people will. And another thing that we did at that point in time was we started a side business, a side hustle kind of a business where we used to make handmade jewelry with women in Dang district. And we would sell these products in US and Canada. So there is another girl, Emily, she was in US. She was part of a lot of interesting fair trade movements. She was a student from Harvard. So she visited Seva Bank here for internship. And she was looking for people who are connected and can help her connect with a lot of other folks. So we had built this reputation in Ahmedabad at that point in time that if you're looking things around entrepreneurship, these folks at eChai are fairly connected folks. So she reached out to us and we were like, we could do something interesting. So we went to Dang. So for 2-3 years, we ran that business. So that helped us sustain. So it's interesting, right? Like here, the story of that business was we were trying to empower women in Dang. Because of that business, we were getting empowered.
You were getting empowered.
We were not making money, we started making money. So we ran that business for 3 years. So around 2015-16, we took a call that, either we take this business, make it bigger or make eChai bigger. Then we took a call that we like eChai and with eChai, we could empower a lot of other businesses.
Sure.
So then we took a call that, we will make eChai as a proper business and we'll scale it. But that was the journey during that phase.
So two questions, quick questions. Firstly, why does your LinkedIn profile say salesman at eChai? And secondly, why is it eChai Ventures? What does the eChai ecosystem do that you call it eChai Ventures?
Okay. So a lot of things we do at eChai are based on my whims or Kunal's whims. That we will do this thing. And then once you do that, you have a good story around that.
Right.
So I always wanted to write salesman because at the end of the day, you go and meet people and people say that you have to be a salesperson. At whatever stage in us. So we are trying to say that the thing that people believe is the greatest of the skill, we are trying to say that we are good at it. So that's why I write salesman. I waited for some time. When eChai was a smaller organization, I used to write co-founder and CEO. Then I realized that eChai has a scale. So if I write salesman, still people will feel that, okay, it's a nice thing. If you are irrelevant, then even if you write founder, salesman,
it doesn't matter.
Once you have scale and a writer, that sounds an interesting one. So I write salesman, Kunal writes engineer. So on LinkedIn, it becomes funny because sometimes people now know eChai. They reach out to me expecting that I can pass on the message to my seniors at eChai. But that is it.
Please let the CEO know.
And then they realized that I happen to be one of the co-founder. eChai Ventures. So 2009 we started this thing. So venture sounds more fun. So at that point in time, we thought that we would have multiple businesses. So eChai wasn't the business. Like doing meetups is not the business where we make money for. We are doing it because we like it, and we will try to build some social enterprises. So that's why the name was eChai Ventures. The good thing with these names, it does two things actually. With eChai name, a lot of so when we do this global events, a lot of Indians would feel that okay, eChai name, so some Indian has started. A lot of people from China. Chinese origin, they also feel that some Chinese guy has started it. So when we do a meetup in Estonia or London, so a lot of Chinese would feel affinate. Like they'll feel okay, some China guy has started it. So, so they'll feel, there's an Indians will feel okay, some Indian guy has started it. So it's a huge advantage. Another thing that is helping with the eChai Ventures, now that we have a lot of investors in the ecosystem, so a lot of people would feel that here is a place where they potentially find some people who would invest money in startups. eChai doesn't invest in startups, but eChai has a lot of investors who take part in a lot of events who eventually invest in startups.
Can you share some success stories or some collaborations that has happened through eChai?
So I jokingly say that कि जब अब पूरा गाँव ही आपका ऐसा टेस्टिमोनियल किया देने का. You speak with anybody in the city when they were starting things around entrepreneurship, which was the organization. But there are a couple of stories which the founders say it publicly, so I'll repeat that. So generally we don't want to be in a zone where we tell people that and how we empower others.
We did this, we did that.
So that is not the zone. But there are two friends of mine who also tell publicly. So Aditi, she is the founder of Menstrupedia, Aditi and Tuhin. So for them, eChai Demo Day was one of the first event where they spoke publicly about their venture. They got some support. She had mentioned that story publicly also, where eChai was the first platform which they got. And Menstrupedia today is a very popular initiative, business also. Another interesting story is Amit and Ruchit. They are the co-founders of a company called All Events, which is an insanely popular platform, not just in India, all over the world. So Amit mentions this. He got an idea of All Events by attending one of the events I was organizing. So that's interesting. So right, so when you mention that these events will help you do that. That is not a life-changing, right? Something that happens, somebody getting an idea by attending the event. So even didn't do anything. That is a life-changing for some people. So that would have happened with a lot of people, I guess. I don't know those stories. Because we do that more often across all the cities. I'm sure that would have happened. I'm waiting for a use case where two people haven't got married yet. I'm waiting for that use case. I know two people who got married, they were part of eChai, but they didn't met because of eChai.
Because of eChai.
So I'm waiting for that moment. Everything else has happened.
Yeah, that would be something. So how does eChai work right now? What is the model today?
Okay, so our unit is we organize meetups. These 2-hour engaging meetups, panel discussions, demo days. So we host these meetups across in 10 countries now. In India, in metros, we are very prolific. Where every Saturday, Friday, there are some meetups happening. So our base unit is we organize these meetups every weekend across all cities. As a whole, it looks like a university. That you are an upcoming entrepreneur and you want to learn about startups. So there is always some sort of event that eChai is doing. So this is our premise, and probably in a way we are building a university, but our unit is organizing those 2-hour meetups again and again. So if you attend a university class, what is it? Every day there is some 2-hour, 1-hour class. So our event is a class in a way. Sure. For people who are interested in entrepreneurship, but this is much more open. These events that we do are free, open for all. Not all are open for all. They are curated, but all are free. So it's interesting. So everything is around for an individual like me who is struggling in Nirma.
Right.
There is a freedom. There are super successful folks, people who aspire to do good. They can be part of it without any barriers. As a business, we have business partners program where there are certain businesses who pay an annual subscription to eChai, and they get more visibility within eChai networks. So for an audience, it remains free, open for all types of businesses, and business who wants to be more visible within the eChai network, they pay us annual subscription fee.
Okay. And there is no particular criteria who can sort of buy this subscription or something like that?
As an attendee, it's free. Right. As a business, we typically onboard businesses who align with us.
Sure.
So when we do these events, typically none of the event would have a sponsorship. It happens like so the business names gets listed. So the businesses who find value in that, we kind of onboard them, or people who've been benefited through eChai. So a lot of businesses who are business partners at some point in their lives, they would have been benefited by eChai before becoming business partners. So they understand the value of becoming part of this ecosystem.
I forgot to ask you before when we were talking about the salesman thing. Can you tell me, for any creator or for any entrepreneur, the 3-5 whatever tips to learn from a salesman? Why you need to be good at sales? Let's, for example, assume I am not good with sales, all right, but I am an entrepreneur, or I am a content creator, or I am an artist, or whatever. Why do I need to learn sales skills?
Because you need to get work done from everybody. Even if you're employees, you need to get work done from them. So you have to be good communicator. You have a clarity of thought, what you want the other person to do it. So sales skills is very important. How you can get better at it. Which are the areas which I follow myself. I do insane amount of research before reaching out to people. I understand the psyche. I try to understand the psyche. I don't say that I understand for everybody, but you do research and you get closer to the understanding. And always you propose something which is useful for them also. So you're not. So I always try to be in a zone where you are not at a mercy of somebody else's decision on you. That somebody give you the chance. Can you propose something which is equally valuable for somebody? But how do you know that something you are proposing is equally valuable for somebody? You understand them, you understand what they want to do, you understand what you want to do, and if there is an intersection. So how do you find that intersection from? Again, you do a lot of research, you do have a lot of understanding, and at the same time, you do something which is more exciting. So they'll become part of your ecosystem or your line of doing. So it's a process. So every time I would want to work with somebody, I'll try to take myself to that level where what I'm trying to do is equally important for that individual. So now I am not worried about whether this person will get impressed with me or not. The decision the person would have to take is whether they want to work with me or not. Not because the things that I'm proposing, because things I'm proposing, somebody else is also proposing.
Sure.
So that is the zone I try to be in. That what I'm trying to propose, you will anyways do that. Whether you'll do it with me or not, that's a question that you have to take. But what is being proposed is important. So if that is it, then chances of you getting better outcomes with all the partnerships, sales are better. So that's a zone I try to be in always.
Is it like creating a win-win situation for?
Correct. So at eChai we use the word co-rise a lot, collaboratively rising together.
Sure.
So neither I am giving a favor to you by taking a business or giving a business to you, neither you are giving it. So that's why though my entire message is being very competent. If you're being try to be very competent, then you need not worry about person getting impressed with you or not.
Sure.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to be charismatic to impress with people with your mannerism. That is important. But if your core is good, things will anyways work. So if you have a choice and make that core much stronger. Else, then if that is there, then you do everything else so that the person. If there are 80% chances of doing well, if you are good with communication, if you be on time, if you have a good work ethic, that will take you to 85%. But if your core is not good, then you have to really do other things right, so that increases the odds of you getting better outcome.
And that is what, in fact, what Naval Ravikant has also said, that networking doesn't help if you don't focus on building value.
Yep.
Right. First, make yourself a valuable person, and then correct networking will eventually find its way around you.
Correct. So that's a zone you try to be in whenever you get a chance.
So, are you about the meetups? Are you trying to do? How do you balance between having general entrepreneur meetups or doing something on a specific subject or a topic or something like that? So how do you balance that out?
So frequency of the meetups that we do is very huge because every week there are going on. But we look at meetups as scripts, movie scripts. That so there are certain movies you see as their titles, and you will know that a lot of people will be interested in that, or you identify the subjects. So a lot of thought that we go, because we don't market.
Right.
There is no marketing of a meetup. We just put it on our website, on event platforms, and then people turn up. They'll look at the event. So idea is that, again, the very same message that I'm trying to communicate through this conversation, that if what you're trying to build is valuable, people will turn up. You just need to be at the touch points.
Sure.
You don't have to constantly go and tell that, like, this will help you, this will help you.
Sure.
You can do that also, but we try to avoid that piece. So at our events also, it is not communicated that, this will help you, or it is always about what will happen at the event. But what you do, what happens at the event, if that is valuable, people will turn up. So that's the zone we try to be in. So for example, this week only, we have 10 meetups happening in India across 10 cities. So one meetup is a demo day. So eChai Startup Demo Day is what? It gives an opportunity to early stage startup founders to showcase their ventures. So it's an interesting format. Another event that is happening is a AI meetup. So there is a lot of buzz about AI tools. So you have some founders who are building very popular AI platforms. They'll come and share their stories about not only how people can use AI, but how they can build their own AI platforms. So these are the topical content, very interesting content, very much needed. Either as an experience, people would want to be part of it, or they are stakeholders in that. If you're early stage startup founder, Demo Day is a great opportunity. If you're a startup building AI platform, AI meetup is a great. So what I realize these interesting themes, if you do, or interesting formats. These Saturday events are public, open for all events. We do a lot of eChai socials also, which are slightly more curated events for a specific topic. So you bring 20 marketing folks, like we were part of, or you bring people building hardware products. So they can go deeper in that discussion. That happens in a weekday typically, Thursday or Wednesday. But that's how we approach these events, that, you just mention it on your website and can 100 people turn up. So what is it that you could do so that can happen, where you don't have to sell explicitly that why people should be part of it?
Is there within organizing these meetups, do you consciously are you conscious about putting elements that, okay, these are the things that will provide a lot of value to the people who are coming? How do you decide on the content side of those meetups?
I ask people, do you understand the difference between Bhavarth and Sabdarth?
Sure.
So I tell people, tell Sabdarth, tell what you did. What people can learn from your journey, leave it to them.
Leave it to them, sure.
You share in a particular situation what you did. Like you can say that, okay, for example, video marketing is the future. But do you do video content for yourself, for your business, for which use case you do it? So tell us what you did, not what the others should do. This is the zone you try to be in. Because a lot of people who would attend these events, they are not here for Gnan. They are here to relate their experiences with your experiences, or have a lightweight networking. So this is the zone we try to be in. So anybody who moderates the event, there is a instruction to them that, or people who be a part of the panel, tell what you did. And when people ask specifically that, they're looking for a formula or something, then you respond what you think others should do. But primarily stay in that zone. Sure. So this is the zone we try to be in at all eChai meetups.
Much more hands-on things that if you can bring out, then there is nothing like
Correct, because what others should do, people would have a different opinion. But when they are put in this exact same shoes, they'll not do it. They'll say, okay, I'll wait for a month, then I'll do this. So these are the dilemmas that you go through. So it is always better to tell people what you do.
You said you wanted to build friendships, right, throughout this journey. Your focus was to build this. Can you talk about the importance of having good relationships as a businessman, as an entrepreneur?
It's huge for entrepreneur, right? As a founder, if you're a decent founder, you'll get featured in newspapers, you'll get invited to podcasts, you would be like a star. But then you cannot ask people that, give me 10,000 or 1 lakh rupees udhar. Because for a certain set of people, you are the hero, right? This is where friends come into play. That, there are situations in life where you will miss something, right? Like you would need some emergency at your home. So those friendships will come into play. Typically, those friendships are the school friendships or work friendships. But as you become founder, a lot of times you'll find a disconnect. that you're not as connected with your school friends, with your day-to-day challenges of a business. So this is where building a good friendship is very important. That comes very, very handy. So I encourage people that you should not do it because it's good. You do it because it is very helpful. Having a good intention, I have a different thought. that whether you don't do it because you are getting a good outcome, do it because you are good. But in this case, I strongly encourage people that invest your time and energy in being valuable to people, so that because it's a cycle. Whatever you do in life, it will always come back. That you are expecting a big order of 1 crore rupees, but you need 10 lakh rupees for 15 days. To whom you do reach out to? Because everybody else you will reach out to, they will judge you. So having that friend, or there are certain medical emergencies in your families, to whom you do reach out to. So it is very, very important in life to have that. So you cultivate, but you cannot just go to people and say that let us be friends. You have to be valuable. How do you become valuable? You have to be resourceful. You have to invest time. You have to be interested in their journey. Then only you can be valuable. So identify people with whom you vibe, and then invest a lot of your time. A lot of times what I realize, people miss out on that. And I also missed out on that. There could have been people that I met in 2012, 13. I could have been great friends with them. Neither I took the initiative nor they took the initiative. But now with eChai, I take that initiative. That's why I do this eChai socials, where the people that I meet publicly, I invite them at my socials, where there is an intimate discussion. And then probably, you get a vibe that, that person is also equally interested. So things that I missed out, I do it at a scale now. And I encourage a lot of people to do that.
In this journey, you must have spoken with numerous entrepreneurs, and you must have heard different products or services or ideas they are working on. What are those few attributes that you have seen in an entrepreneur that makes them a successful entrepreneur? Like, if you, at the end of all the conversations that you have had and all the meetups that you have had, if you had to sort of sum it up, that if you do if these are the things that you focus on, attributes, characteristics, skills, whatever, what are those things of a good, successful entrepreneur?
To be honest, I'm figuring it out. because I like, there are people, great skill set. They would try working on some idea. The idea may not work. But that person had all the skill sets. They had all the formulas of being a good founder. That idea didn't work. But the same individual started another business, and that kind of clicked. So what worked? So that person was a good entrepreneur even when the idea didn't work out. So is idea important, or a business important, or a person important? So it's an interesting dilemma that I also go through, trying to understand this, that different people succeeding at different point in time. So what I try to be on the momentum side. That try to create momentum around what you are trying to do. That increases the odds of you succeeding. That's a zone I try to be in. But I've seen people that they do random stuff and they become very, very successful. So I cannot judge them that they become successful because they knew something I don't know. I know but I don't try, and they try.
Sure. So there is no definite formula for sure.
But being at it helps. What helped at eChai, we were at it. So we were small. We were working in a smaller ecosystem comparatively in startups. But we were at it. Then when market opened up, everybody was interested in entrepreneurship. eChai suddenly blossomed. So we were doing something which had a bigger market. So as a whole, what I try to look at is work on something which has a huge market potential.
Right.
If you haven't yet found that great thing that you are so passionate about. So if you are so passionate about something, and even if the market is small, that is also fine. Because you are really good at it. But if you haven't found something, always pick up something which has a huge market.
So something that is scalable?
In a way, around that zone only. If market, for example, why eChai is able to scale everywhere now? Because everywhere there is a demand for entrepreneurial support systems. 5 years back, demand was smaller. So when we would try to do events in Surat, we will not succeed that much. Today, without my effort, eChai in Surat is blossoming. Because there are more people who are interested in entrepreneurship. So something in that zone, a potential market, or today you do something, there is no market today. 5 years down the line, there could be a market. So can you identify that thing?
Right.
Can you understand those trends? So today it is not necessary. So it is a momentum, right?
Right.
Today there are no takers, but would the world go towards that? So if you're working on path-breaking technology around AR, VR, today people are trying to figure out what will happen. Maybe 10 years down the line, the world will become such that we'll be more used to such products. So can you identify that momentum or a zone? Then that increases the odds of you being successful, but there are no formulas that people with all the tick marks are failing, and people with one good connection, getting a great order, getting incubated at a very popular accelerator takes you in a different orbit. So I'm also figuring out this.
But you said there was a shift and people realized that networking and meetups is important. Why do you think that shift happened? And which year do you think that shift happened?
So in India, there is a popular story, the growth of Flipkart,
right.
E-commerce giants. They spend a lot of money to educate people. These are the startups. So people know, okay, this is the online businesses, and they are becoming very popular startups. And so that was a shift of momentum. A lot of news stories about startups getting funding. So people being curious about
around 2012 or 13?
During that time, 2015 was kind of a peak of that momentum.
Sure.
2016, government announced Startup India scheme.
Yeah.
So that kind of took it to the next level. With Shark Tank, it went to another orbit.
Yeah, now it's on a different tangent.
Yeah. So those transitions that, companies like Flipkart, Myntra, and those companies doing really well, that kind of opened up people about entrepreneurship. So that on the one side. On the other side is the rise of business networks. So every city would have local business networks, industry associations. Earlier they would do boring stuff. Now every organization has a youth wing.
Right.
You go to GCCI, you go to CII, you go to FICCI. So a lot of those business networks. So things were happening from all the sides. Governments were interested in being there. So there was a momentum. But that was the timeline, 2013, 15, 16, and then with Shark Tank few years back.
But within the ecosystem, do you think that was also a point where a lot of founders came into the ecosystem and they realized that they need help of a lot of people because they themselves cannot do everything? They need to figure out the finances, the supply chain, the logistics and the marketing and the promotions and everything, and they can't do it by themselves, right? Earlier, before that, the typical business ecosystem was this businessman who had all the resources and he can deploy his team and his resources and things were getting done, right? Now we have first generation entrepreneurs coming in the domain. Do you think that is one of the biggest reasons why people spend their energy and spend their resources to sort of connect with?
Correct. And that's a huge part of eChai's story also.
Right.
Because for a lot of them, eChai is a bigger organization.
Sure.
So people would have part of business families. For them, other organization would be bigger. But for a lot of people, eChai's business events are the first business events that they are attending, or they are being part of it. So they look at us as the centerpiece, and they look at other organizations trying to do something what eChai does. So that transition is also helped us.
Right.
That for them, eChai was the organization, and others were trying to do something interesting. So for sure, that momentum kind of helped us.
Talking about the ecosystems, can you talk a little bit about how Ahmedabad ecosystem of startups and entrepreneurship has evolved, and a little about India and its ecosystem also? So,
if you look at Ahmedabad or any other, so there are business incubators. In majority cases, these business incubators are affiliated with colleges. So IIM Ahmedabad has an incubator called IIMA Ventures, where we host a lot of our events also. So every good university in Ahmedabad would have some sort of incubation center.
Sure.
So that is one set of people. Another set of people are the investors. So in Ahmedabad, there is this Gujarat Venture Finance Limited, GVFL. GVFL, incidentally, is one of the oldest VC firm in India, not just Ahmedabad, but VC firm of India. So there are investment firms like that. Earlier, and then there are local angel networks. So earlier in Ahmedabad, there was Ahmedabad Angel Network. So there were a lot of individual folks who would invest in startups as angel investors. There is a thing to be said whether they were actually investing in startups or they were saying that they will invest in startups. But there were those people. And then communities like eChai is a community. Head Start is another community. TIE is also another community. The origin or the form of these communities will be different, but these are the startup communities doing a lot of engagement activities, bringing a lot of startups together. And this business associations, likes of Fikis, Asokems, a lot of those folks. And another big thing, a lot of successful founders investing their time and energy to engage with a lot of founders. So if you talk to any decent founder, they will invest a lot of their time and energy talking to younger founders. So in a way, and these are the 5-6 kinds of folks who make the ecosystem.
Sure.
So if you're a founder, you figure out ways. Government of Gujarat also does a lot of interesting things around startups where they invest money, invest money, they give grant money. So similar things are happening at a center level also.
Right.
But in bigger ecosystem, there are bigger players also. So for example, there are a lot of accelerators.
Right.
So they are not incubators. They are private people who invest money, they take certain equity. They help you with the journey of building a business. So there are a lot of those accelerators. Like there is this Antler, which is very good. Techstars is also there. Incubators, investors. Now there are a lot of angel networks also. The people who don't invest by themselves, but they bring investors together. And they help investing in startups. On the other side, there are a lot of subject matter experts also. So when you are building a business, you need a UX. So there are a lot of people who work with good companies. They have started their independent shops. So a lot of UX agencies, product design studio. So every piece you identify a startup would need build, there is something available. Either they will charge, they will support. But if you're a founder, there are always people who are open to engage. So you'll always get a first degree access to some sort of a association or organization.
Sure. Yeah. How was, because you were doing physical events, how was COVID and what was that period like? How did it affect eChai, if at all it did?
So COVID was very boring.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult for everybody, right? A lot of people lost their family members. So COVID events stopped. Physical events stopped. A lot of events moved to online. So we did a lot of online events. When you do online events, you could reach out to the people like that you might not have reached out to.
Sure.
Because you were not doing a physical events.
Sure.
So we did a good job on that front. That we would do a lot of exciting online events, and we could expand our broader. So we did that. We like in 30-40 countries, we used to have folks who were part of eChai. So that kind of experimented with that element. But we always waited that once the in-person event gets started, we'll double down on what we were doing. Because COVID was the time we were getting our inflection point.
Sure.
So 2018-19, eChai was scaling up massively. COVID happened, so everybody thing became stagnant.
Right.
So that was there. Else, but since last 2 years, if you look at how eChai functions, it is scaling up massively. With the same input. But COVID gave us a time to reflect on. That's why we are very content with whatever happening. That's why it is now that we want to do it. We see a potential that it could be everywhere, but there is not a conscious effort that we want to achieve. There is no. So that happened because of COVID. That you reflect on your life, why you are building this thing. So we are very content with what we are doing. So COVID gave us that clarity in our lives.
But now you are not looking at a hybrid model or online events. Now that is not a big part of your strategy, or is it?
We don't do a lot of online events, but it's momentum. If you see that and everybody is getting interested in a lot of online events and not coming to eChai events, we'll do also online events.
No, I mean, of course, if I want to connect to entrepreneurs within my city or within the country, of course, physical events will help. But for example, if I'm not traveling anywhere and I would like to connect with entrepreneurs from different countries, then I guess online is the only way.
Correct. We haven't done that at a scale.
Sure.
After things opened up.
Not yet.
But we may do that. So I have this, we have this thing, never say never.
Never say never.
You will do. So eChai can get into all kinds of businesses.
That sounds like a Nirma thing. Never say never.
Sometimes, like today we say that all our events are free. Tomorrow. So never say never.
Never say never. Let's talk about eChai and the presence abroad. Right? How did that happen? How is it going now? How did eChai went global?
Yep. So our base was strong. It's a 15-year journey. So I keep on saying this 15-year journey. It sounds very long. So when we were 3 or 4 years old, it sounds exciting, right? In 3 years you achieved these things. In 15 years, whatever you achieve looks small. because there are people, I look at Mahendra Singh Dhoni's story. In 2003, there is a story. He was a ticket collector. In 2011, he won the World Cup. So that's an 8-year journey.
8-year journey. Wow.
So compared to that, 15-year journey sounds very. But we 3-4 years we went to that phase that and what we do we absolutely enjoy. Even if I make a lot of money, even if I achieve anything, this is the lifestyle I want to live. So we are at that stage, and now we are making money also. So in terms of what we want to do in lives, we are there, and whatever happens is a bonus. Our international scale happened, so it's interesting. Our base was strong. Everybody who were part of what we were doing in Ahmedabad, they liked us. So a lot of those folks who were associated with us, they will travel.
Sure.
They will move to different places. Or a lot of global organization or national organization, when they will do stuff in Ahmedabad, they'll discover us. So these guys are very strong in Ahmedabad. They understand things. So when we wanted to go out, we had these 2 reference points. For example, there is this Jwalant Desai. He used to attend our Ahmedabad events. Then he went to Singapore. He did his MBA from Nanyang Business School. And at that point in time, when he was joining, they were setting up entrepreneurship club of the Nanyang Business School. So he was part of eChai. He understood that eChai can channelize people. And we were, before that, I also traveled to Singapore multiple times. So he was like, we were setting up this up. We can give you the space. Can you do the event? And we had that expertise. So we can channelize people.
Sure.
So that gave us a foot in the door in Singapore market. That was a great story because where I was doing event at a very, very prominent institute in Singapore. Then I would reach out to a lot of other founders in Singapore saying that, eChai is launching in Singapore when an event is happening at Nanyang Business School. So that adds the credibility that, I'm doing an event at a very popular institute in their home. So I'm not a wannabe trying to meet 2 people in Singapore. I'm doing something in a very prominent institute in Singapore. That's how our Singapore chapter got started. Same thing, Karan was with us. He used to attend our events. He went to Australia at RMIT. So it's very similar trajectory. That within the first week of he being in Australia, he organized the event. So eChai gave that confidence to people that we can make things happen anywhere in the world.
Sure.
Another interesting global launch happened with WeWork. So WeWork had acquired a company called Meetup.com. And during that partnership, they had chosen certain organizers within Meetup who can book WeWork spaces for free. WeWork space worth $3,000 for free. So eChai was one of them. But typically what happens, typical one organization will book spaces in their home city only. What I did, I booked WeWork spaces in 10 countries. And that gave us a foot in the door. That I could do events in Berlin, at a WeWork in Berlin, WeWork in Sydney, WeWork in Paris. So it was an incredible journey that we could do events, and that gave me the confidence that I can make things happen anywhere in the world. Because we had that playbook. How do you channelize people? What do you do? What is it? So that, and then suddenly eChai became a 10-country thing. That we were not no more Ahmedabad
based.
We could but that is not the journey that everybody would travel to, because they'll need a confidence. That if they want to do things in, say, Los Angeles, they'll have to identify 5 people in Los Angeles who would vouch for them, will give them the confidence, and then they'll have a confidence to do things in.
Sure.
But since we understood how the entrepreneurship ecosystems work, function, it became easier for us. So now what happens, and it's an interesting phenomena. Typically what happens, you are a smaller community, people are part of your community, they grow in their lives, they'll move to bigger communities, or bigger ecos. In eChai, it's a reverse. So there are a lot of people who are not great connectors. They are not necessarily great friends of mine in Ahmedabad. But when they travel, when they go to Holland or Netherlands, or when they go to Cape Town, they would tell me that, I'm traveling to Cape Town for some other purposes, but I can do eChai event here. Because they have that confidence that when eChai gets into play, they will make things happen. So it's an interesting journey. So every time people travel, for business conferences, because it's a difficult thing, because when you travel overseas, people are busy, right? They don't have time for you. The only 3 people you'll meet because you have you are attending the same conference. Outside of that is a very challenging. So eChai kind of broke through that thing. It's interesting because there were a lot of great people who were not my friends when I was meeting them in Ahmedabad. But when they travel, they become great friends.
Great friends, right.
And we could do it, me sitting in Ahmedabad, Kunal sitting in Bardoli.
Is there a difference between the ecosystem of other countries and India? Do you have to be mindful of some things that, okay, this works in India, but this doesn't work somewhere else?
I have an opinion that I see people very similar everywhere. So
Okay.
everybody mimics the behavior happening in Silicon Valley.
Right.
You meet those 30 folks in Ahmedabad, what they will speak and what something is being discussed in New York or Bangalore would be very, very similar. Will not be a huge difference.
Sure.
So as the ecosystems are growing in every city, the behaviors are very similar. Every city would have those typical behaviors, but they are smaller. But the top percentile of every city behaves very similar. The founder in Ahmedabad talking. If you take up a SaaS founder from Ahmedabad, they'll also talk about ARR and MRR. Same person from Rajkot will also speak in a very similar language. So that is one thing is there.
Right.
Another thing is every city would have, for example, so one funny incident, like, when in Europe, when they say okay, that means they will do it. Here, when they say okay, you are not sure whether it's a filler or a actual.
You have to keep confirming.
Yeah, so these are very smaller things.
Sure.
But ecosystem, I realize that everybody behaves very similarly.
More or less
the
the
pool
same.
would be smaller. Like in Ahmedabad, there could be like 600 such people who will speak in that tone or understand with that understanding. In Bangalore, that could be 10,000. So that the folks that I end up engaging with, they behave very similarly everywhere. And that I'm saying being a player in every city, not a visitor in every city. Like I organize a lot of events in Estonia, but clarity of communication is something that is little different. We are slightly vague in what we want to communicate. Because we want to sugarcoat, right? We don't want to hurt people that you're not allowed. In Singapore, when I'll say you're not allowed. Here I'll say, okay, it is good for curated, it is for this people, it is
You have to put it nicely.
So sometimes I realize I also do that. So it is not I am observing Indians, I am the Indian who's being observed. But as things evolve for everybody is behaving very similar.
So there is nothing unique about Ahmedabad and its
no,
its
absolutely not. As far as I haven't encountered yet, and I'm able to do events everywhere without having that secret understanding about how the people in Soho function. I do events in Soho. I met a lot of people in Soho. They cannot meet 5 people without their first degree of connection.
Let's say I'm just starting out. This is more like advice or tips for upcoming startups or for upcoming founders. How can I make the most of eChai? Like, what should I do? What should be my 6-month strategy to get the maximum out of eChai?
So my suggestion to everyone and to get the best out of ecosystem in addition to eChai is for any network or a business, you be part of certain things like 3-4 events or 3-4 do a lot of research, identify people that you want to connect with, reach out to them. Events become a way for you to meet them in person, but at all the platforms at eChai also there a lot of information is listed online. You'll be able to discover a lot of information and connect with those folks, but having a clarity of thought, what you want to achieve. You want to network, you want to take inspiration, you want to get more business, or you want to meet people who are going through a similar journey. So if you are clear with that, the chances of you achieving become higher. Instead of you having a rather vague idea of how these organizations will support me. So that's a zone to be in. If you do a lot of research and if you are clear with what you want to achieve, that will be better. Then once you are clear with that, then you can identify programs which are relevant to you for that purpose. If your purpose is to get investors, be part of events where investors hang out. Or if your purpose is to just find the related experience, be part of the socials. So having a clear cut goal and being part of it. So that is one as an individual. But my purpose of doing eChai or thing is that you spend 2 hours positively. That itself is a very valuable thing in life. So
also a break from your constant hustle, right? Because you are sort of in a light-hearted, chill environment. You can talk about business.
So that itself, like, why do we go to movies? Like,
I've
spent good 2 hours, not necessarily get inspired for life, but we still invest those 2 hours. So we try to keep eChai in a similar zone. Like you'll spend 2 happy hours with people who are very hopeful in lives and trying to do things, and that itself is very, very valuable. But if you come with a very clear-cut objective, also you'll get that also. But for that, you'll have to make that attempt.
Sure.
To invest time in researching what is happening, who are part of it, why they are part of it. And these are free events. So
yeah, of course. Big thing, because I think starting out you are confused where to put your money. Like you have some amount of, you have a very little budget and you are like trying to optimize it, and then suddenly something happens like, oh, you have to pay 10,000 rupees for this course or this workshop or this meetup. It doesn't work for you.
Correct.
So, okay. Last couple of things. What are some of the resources or practices or tools that you would like to suggest? You talk a lot about research and analyzing. Are there some tools that you use which can be helpful for people who are just starting out or already within the ecosystem?
First and foremost, which is a gateway for everything, is Google. Do a good job at Google. Search. Try to have good. Now with AI tools, they are being called as prompts. But that is there. Social media is very important. Like social media gives you psyche of what others think. You have so much information about the people that you want to talk to. That gives you greater understanding. So on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. So don't judge. So a lot of people stay in that zone. This person does a lot of fake. Like here, somebody is opening up their lives to you for you to judge and analyze. That's a great thing in life.
Sure.
So analyze and try to be with people who are in your industry. So every industry would have a very niche platform. Or a social network or some sort of a things. Be part of that. So that becomes very, very handy in understanding the psyche of the people. So that is one thing. Second thing is the understanding the domain that you are working on. If you are working on a, say, hardware, or if you are working on a SaaS, there are a lot of websites, associations, communities who are part of it. So they become very, very handy for you. Third thing would be doing things which can help you with your interpersonal skills. You can write well.
Right.
So Grammarly is very powerful, right? I would encourage people to do it. So you can write because you will communicate, you will speak, you will be able to speak better unless until you read so much, you analyze so much, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you listen to. So it's a combination of a lot of those things. And they will lead you to the next thing, which will help you.
Any books you would recommend?
I liked Simplify of Captain Gopinath. I was fascinated with that book. The story about Aidekan and his journey before Aidekan, where he was a farmer. He did a lot of innovative so I resonate with that book a lot, and I absolutely. And I was so happy when the movie came out. So that is some Simplify is a book I would recommend to a lot of folks.
Okay. Okay, what is happening next with eChai? What is the future? What are your plans?
Lot of interesting things. So between me and Kunal, we are at a stage with eChai that our current lifestyles are settled. Like you aspire to have a certain lifestyle that So in our case, that is done. So everything is a bonus. So we take a lot of long shots. So we are in 10 countries now. But we feel that we could be in 50 countries. But how do we get there? It's an interesting thing how we will go there. Same thing in India also. India has like 6, 70, 80 districts. We can be every district of India. Right now we have covered the brand part. We are at all the good institutions. We are at all the good spaces. So just be like somebody from say Bhuj, like Kutch would reach out, interested in taking a eChai with them. We could be in Gandhina, we could be in Bhuj. So on both the extremes, we could be at all the places. We in terms of expanding the horizons of eChai. On the other side, we are trying to be get better at these events. Like I was saying, at every meetup that we do, I get at least 4 or 5 things that, and I feel that I could have done better. But the thing is that at eChai right now, we will not increase our input. We will have the same input. With the same input, can we achieve all those things?
All those things.
We are already on that path. So that's interesting things that without increasing the input, can we make it, right now we do it in 10 cities. Can we do it in 100 cities with the same set of input that we put in? So that's a journey to be traveled to. How do we get there? which are the things we should do so that without increasing input, we can increase the output, then we'll figure it out.
You are in the middle of one journey, but you have completed one journey, which was like taking eChai from Ahmedabad to 10 different cities, right? So was that more difficult or challenging, and or is this more difficult and challenging? Like
The earlier one was very difficult.
0 to 10 was more difficult?
Yes, sir, absolutely, because people were judging. Here I'm making the choice.
Right.
We can still be in 10 countries.
But I mean, there are so many things that needs to be figured out when you are like taking a venture from 10 cities to 50 cities or 100 cities. But there are so many variables, so many stakeholders, so many things that needs to be figured out. Isn't that more challenging?
But this is more fun because there is a base to play at.
Sure.
This could be more difficult. We are not averse to doing difficult things.
Of course.
So this could be more difficult, but this is more fun because you are calling the shots, or you are involved in some sort of a decision-making process. Earlier, you were not involved in a decision-making process. You were doing and you were at the mercy of others.
Mercy of others, sure.
If things are happening, then things are happening. Here, so you know that, okay, you achieve this thing, you put in this effort, you will get this thing. Because there is some sort of historical playbook to it.
Sure. Momentum, like you said. You have built some momentum, you have some commanding position.
Correct. So right now, it will also be a journey. So it will not be a cakewalk. But this is a journey that I want to experience. Earlier journey happened with us.
Of course.
So I would always want to do this.
That's a big difference.
So that's why a lot of folks, I meet a lot of friends who are very fond of their childhood memories of their schools, their colleges. I always wanted to get out of it. So every time I feel so happy that I'm not I'm not living that journey.
Sure.
This is the very similar trajectory that earlier we wanted to do so many things. People will judge us. Now it's the other way around. That I will judge whether I want to work with you or not.
Sure.
So this is the journey we always wanted.
But has it ever happened? Have you ever been tempted when you meet entrepreneurs, or when you hear their ideas, or when you know about their product? Has it ever tempted you that, oh, this is a business I want to be a part of?
Two things. I have a mental model for doing a lot of those tempting things. Don't. so that is that.
No matter how much tempting it is.
And another, what we do is very tempting, right? Like I'm not worried about anybody. So the current state of what we have is amazing. I get to meet amazing, exciting people. I get to host amazing meetups where there are hundreds of folks who are part of it at brand name colleges or brand name partners. So this is great. Even if you make a lot of business, what is the end outcome? You'll have a very similar lifestyle. Sure. Probably you'll make a lot of money. We haven't made a lot of money, but we make enough. But our lifestyle is very similar because now when we do these events, I end up engaging with people who are super rich. They would raise millions of dollars. So lifestyle is not, the purpose is different probably. So our purpose is also not a smaller purpose. So when you want somebody else, so there is a thing that the other pursuit is higher. Sure. That's why you are getting tempted. So our pursuit is also not smaller. It is also higher. And someday this is the pursuit that everybody would want to be in. That's why anybody that you would have spoken with is talking about empowering entrepreneurs.
Right.
Not talking about their own journey, talking about everybody else's journey. So our pursuit is also very high. So that's like because it's the other way around. People will do things that we are doing. That's why you see any entrepreneurs, they are not talking about their business. They are talking about we want to empower entrepreneurs. So it's the other way around actually. Others are getting tempted to do things what we do.
Yeah. How can interested people, entrepreneurs by and large, how can they reach out to you or eChai? What are the platforms you are most active on?
So best is go to our website eChai.ventures. You'll get a list of cities. Check out the events, attend the events that you find relevant. On LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, we are active, but they are like placeholders. My ideal is not to engage with anybody because website serves this purpose. You go and attend the relevant events. In-person event is more fun and they can be part of it.
Great. Thank you so much, Jatin, for the time, and thank you so much for doing what you're doing. I hope you keep connecting entrepreneurs at the global level, and hope eChai reaches from 10 cities to 100 cities very soon.
Thank you so much, Parth. I also get to reflect a lot on my journey, which when you try to articulate, this was it. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, the pleasure is all mine. in this camera. Whatever, however your experience was of this conversation, you can share whatever that experience was, and little about, like, please, Talk of the Town is the name of our channel,
and Unboxed
is the name of the podcast, and just like, share and subscribe.
Okay, so this was a great experience because typically I interview people and I don't do a lot of groundwork. Well, Parth did a great work. He researched, he made sure that the discussion that we will have would be on point. So very grateful to Parth for this opportunity. And like this, I'm very curious about knowing who else he has unboxed the way he unboxed me today. So do check out Talk of the Town channel Unboxed show, and I'm sure that the setup that I'm seeing, there are so many things on the pipeline. So do check it out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.